All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. And we have quite a number of people here with us. We appreciate you being on time. And I'd just like to say good morning to the Managing Director of ECTEL, that's Mr. Andrew Millett. There probably are quite a few staff from ECTEL, and ECTEL stands for the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority. And today, yes, last week, Thursday, was Girls in ICT Day. However, there were so many other activities taking place, we decided to have ours this week. So we are happy that you're here with us. I'm Chicot, the Communications and Media Relations Manager at ECTEL. So why are we doing this? According to the ITU, that's the International Girls in Information, that's the International, Telecommunications Union. ICT Day, or International Girls in Information and Communications Technology Day, is celebrated every fourth Thursday in April. This observance is geared towards creating a platform so that girls can be better represented amongst the top performers in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, also called STEAM. I know you probably heard STEM, but we're saying STEAM today. The observance encourages organizations to provide greater support towards education and skills training so that more girls and young women will be encouraged to actively pursue careers in STEAM to bridge the gender digital divide. So what we did, we reached out to amazing women from the Caribbean who are into ICT and STEAM, and we're so delighted to have them here with us. So before we jump into the program, I'm just going to let you know who we have speaking here with us. And we have Melisha Toussaint. She's the Assistant Engineer at the NTRC, that's the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission there in Dominica. We also have with us Janique-ka John. She is the founder of the Women in Tech Caribbean Community. We also have Cheyenne Polius. She is the OECS Commission Representative for Outstanding Youth in Science. And then we also have Mindy-Luquiana Chicot. She's a communication specialist with ALE Inc. And we're also hoping to be joined by Melanie Norley. She is a fourth form student at the current secondary school, and she's just going to break the monotony of the talk for a while and perform a little song for us to enjoy. And then we're going to wrap up with Janelle Augustine Henry, the Information System Manager right here at ECTEL. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Millett to deliver the welcome remarks. Mr. Millett, over to you. Mr. Millett, maybe you are muted. You could.
Yes.
Okay, hearing you clearly now. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Coretta. Good morning, all. Just 1 minute. The theme selected by the International Telecommunications Union for this year's celebration of Girls in ICT, Connected Girls, Creating Brighter Futures, is of significant importance at this juncture. The United Nations has reported a year after the coronavirus outbreak, the social and economic fallout could have long-term impact on gender equality, threatening the progress made, and potentially pushing millions of girls and women below the poverty line worldwide. The field of ICT presents a great opportunity for girls and women to enter a significant field which permeates all aspects of life, providing cheaper and faster ways of people to interact, network, and learn. ICTs can also be leveraged to reduce trade distortions, eliminate poverty, provide employment opportunities, improve healthcare delivery, and other services relating to women. But benefits such as these rely on women having meaningful access to ICT, which can be facilitated or prevented by several factors, including availability of quality of ICT infrastructure, skills, and awareness towards the importance of technology. The Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority will continue to work with all stakeholders to ensure broadband remain accessible and affordable to citizens of our member states. ECTEL is proud to host this event and to encourage more girls and women to actively pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I wish to congratulate all the speakers on their significant achievements and thank them for taking the time to be part of this important event. Also, I wish to thank the schools across the Caribbean for attending and wish girls and women a successful careers in the vast world of ICT. Thanks very much, Chicot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Millet, for your words. And we're gonna, before we jump right into our first presenter, I know we have quite a few students from across the Caribbean and might be outside of the Caribbean. So if you could just drop in the chat where you're from, the name of your school and your country, so we could get an idea of who is joining us. Don't be shy, just put it there so we could take a look. That would be awesome. So while you do that, I'm going to hand over to Ms. Melisha Toussaint. She is an assistant engineer at the NTRC, that's the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission in Dominica. Melisha, the floor is yours. And for all the bios, meaning more information on the speakers, it's on our Facebook page. If you just look for ECTEL or Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority on Facebook, or if you search for ECTEL Authority on Instagram, I'm going to encourage you to go there because many of you are on Instagram. You're going to see all the bios of these beautiful Caribbean ladies. So please go check them out, like and share. So Melisha, the floor is yours. We're not hearing you, Melisha, so try to unmute.
Sorry about that. My name is Melisha Toussaint, and I am employed with the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Dominica as assistant engineer. And in addition to that, can you guys see my screen, by the way? Okay. I am also an ICANN fellow. I attended a fellowship in Abu Dhabi in 2017. ICANN is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and they are responsible for managing the DNS system or domain name system. This is designed to make the internet accessible for us human beings, as computers and devices on the network utilize IP addresses to find content on the internet, find other devices, and that's how they communicate. But since it's so difficult for human beings to remember a long series of numbers, the DNS will translate those IP addresses into text like www.google.com, for example. I am also a member of the ISOC Dominica chapter, and this is an international non-profit organization which uses the internet to empower and connect people. And currently we are undertaking a project in one of the rural villages in Dominica that is still without broadband connectivity since Hurricane Maria in 2017. So we are deploying a community Wi-Fi network there. I am also a freelance graphic artist. I have a background in drawing, so I kind of translated that to the digital world with technology. Sorry. So some of my these are some of my core functions at the NTRC. Most of those are in regard to spectrum management. What a spectrum is, it is varying frequencies of radio signals that travel over the airwaves, and we use those to communicate with each other. via satellites, mobile phones, FM radio broadcasting. So once you want to communicate over the airwaves with RF signals, you will require a license to be able to do so, because the spectrum is very limited, so we can't have any and everybody on there utilizing it. I also manage the local internet exchange point, or IXP. Here it's called Danix, and it's just a physical location that connects networks. Here in Dominica, we have our two major local internet service providers connected to each other over that infrastructure. I am also very active in digital capacity building. As you can see at the back of me, we have this initiative from NTRC called Code Camp Caraïbe, which we invite the youth especially, or anybody who is willing, to come and learn programming and net robotics, building with the Arduino microcontroller, and so on. So a bit of background on how I became the assistant engineer at NTRC. It all started with a genuine curiosity, basically, in the technology that we use to communicate. I was always curious about how we make and place calls. Like how do I pick up my phone here and then I'm able to talk to somebody in a different country? And how does the internet work? I also remember seeing this documentary when I was really young about robotics, and I said I wanted to get into that, but so far I've only been able to build an AM/FM radio. So back in high school, the convent high school, I did programming using a language called Turbo Pascal. I also did physics and biology, and it was very difficult for me because there was nobody in my family or in my immediate circle who was able to assist me with my studies. So I had to put in a lot of extra work to get my CXC passes and move on to the state college. I eventually dropped programming in college. However, there was a module that we did in physics with telecommunications. And I believe it is at that point I really decided to pursue a career in telecommunications. After high school, I did a short stint at two of the service providers as a customer service representative. However, I realized soon afterwards that this role wouldn't be able to get me to be the technical professional that I aspired to be. So I decided to pursue further studies, higher education, and I did that in China. That was a challenge in itself because I am a very introverted person and I'm not very good with languages, speaking languages. So I had to use all the resources that I could find on the web to assist me with my degree. And when I moved back home, I think I saw the Dominica Grammar School. Well, I think we have a few Dominicans on here, and they would know the state of our economy. It's not the best, and finding a job was very difficult. So I did this paid internship with Lime Dominica under the National Employment Program, where I understudied the pre-sales engineer. This in itself wasn't as technical as I desired at the time, but it helped me gain an appreciation for the business side of technology and doing business. After that, I moved on to the NTRC, where I am now. And this is by far a more in line with what I aspire to be. It is a technical role, and I am continuing to grow and learn in this in this role. Sorry. And in the future, I still hope to pursue my master's degree at some point. So why is it important to pursue a career in ICT? Every business uses technology to conduct business. And in addition to that, technology is the backbone of these businesses, as they have all their servers, they connect to the internet, they use technology to bring their services online and so on. So it is very difficult to get away from technology. It is a must in this day and age. So it's very important to have digital skills, transferable digital skills that you can use in your career. Also, the compensation is not too bad, given that you don't necessarily need to go to college, go to university to have a career in IT. There are a ton of boot camps, online certifications that you can pursue to get the skills that you need to pursue a career in IT. And IT is also a very stable industry in that it hasn't slowed down its growth at any point in time over the past 25 years or so. So once you get into IT, I don't think there are a lot of chances for you to lose your job. Once you continue growing and learning, building on the skills that you already have, keep it modern, because there are new technological developments every single day. You will be in very good standing for employability. This field also gains you some global exposure. You have the opportunity to travel, because these skills are required worldwide. So you're not limited to the country where you live. Your skills, you can take it anywhere you go, and you are almost guaranteed to find a job. And as I mentioned before, there are continuous learning opportunities as there are new technological developments every day. So even though you might know this programming language right now, you might know Java, later on, you might need to learn Python. So it is a very stable field. And in addition to that, with girls in ICT, we are outnumbered 5-1 in this field. I was very unfortunate to not have any female mentors guide me in my journey. However, you can be the change that you want to see in the world. You can pursue a career in IT and inspire somebody else to take up a career in that field. So what exactly is it can you do in IT? There are many different career streams. We have software development, where developers create products, software products, and databases, mobile apps, and so on. They design, they code, they test, and they create programs so that businesses are able to operate more effectively. We also have web development, where you can design, code, and test websites. And you could also design the back end and the front end of these websites to make it more usable and user-friendly. Sorry. We also have cybersecurity. This is a very huge field right now, and having these skills is very important, because with more and more people coming online, they are not all, they do not all have good intentions. There are people with bad intentions as well, and they're trying to get your passwords, your banking information, and so on. So you You can become a white hat hacker, which is the sort of hacker that a company would actually hire to infiltrate the system or try to infiltrate the system as a black hat hacker would, which is a more malicious hacker. And that would allow them to be proactive in taking the necessary steps to secure their network. So you would be able to design, defend, and, pretty much thwart the risk of a company's network or database being infiltrated. And data science is another huge aspect of IT right now, because there's so much data that is being used by businesses. And a lot of the times they want to present that in a way that is more easily digestible or easier to understand for the average user. So data scientists, that's what they do. You could get into network management, which is more of my field, and you would be able to design and maintain the road network of the internet. So all these cables and devices, you would be responsible for maintaining that and making sure that the internet at whatever institution that you are working at is always up, always running, and that the business can function in an effective way. There's also database management, which kind of goes in line with data science somewhat. And that would be useful for businesses where they ask users to sign up for their services online. So you have to be able to design the database in a way that when the time is necessary, you can extract the information that you need from it. And UX design or user experience design is also another important part. It would kind of overlap with web development as well, as we all use apps every day. And the design of the apps that we use is very important, because the last thing that you want to do is to open an application and you're not sure how to use it effectively. We are trying to figure out where's the next button, like how do you do this? How do you do that? You want the buttons properly laid out. You want the text that will guide you properly laid out. So UX designers, they take care of that. And we may not realize it sometimes, but multimedia is also a big part of IT. We have graphic designers, graphic animators, video producers, videography, and photography also form part of that. So if you have a creative background where you can draw, this is a very nice stream to get into. So how do you go about getting into IT? It is very important to first pinpoint which area that you are interested in, whether it is hacking, cybersecurity. If you are creative, like I said, you could get into multimedia or UX design. If you like programming, you could definitely get into software development. Or if you like tinkering with wires and so on, network management would be a nice field. And you also need to decide how exactly you are going to become a professional in the area that you are interested in. Do you want to go to university? Do you want to get some certification in that? Or do you want to maybe attend a couple of boot camps to get you started? There are a ton of resources online that will be able to assist you. If you have the interest right now, you don't have to wait until you get to the college or you're out of high school, you can start as young as you can read. If you can use the internet, then it's a great time to start learning or start pursuing your career in IT. Another great way is to attend webinars and workshops and other networking events. This is, you have to build your network, because what I did when I was with Lyme Dominica, I didn't have any women around that could mentor me, but there were a ton of men. So I tried to ask them questions all the time and, just liaise with them and let them help guide me into the, into understanding and to getting a feel of the industry and state of things here. The ISOC Dominica chapter is also a great resource that I have right now, where we can bounce ideas off each other so that we can help develop the IT industry here in Dominica. So think of what you want. The sky's the limit. You can definitely, don't be intimidated. They tend to say it's a man's world, but we have to make it our world. We have to be in control right now, and it's time to turn things around. I am definitely lonely here as a network engineer. I am probably the only female network engineer that I know of. All the other females in IT that I know have pursued software development. So it would be nice to kind of share the spotlight with somebody else. But all in all, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to me today. If you want any more information on the courses that we have available at the NTRC for programming, web development, software development, robotics, you could visit our website at www.ntrc.dm, or you could also check out codecampcaraib.com. We are also on Facebook, so you can check us out, and we post a lot of the projects that we are working on there. So feel free to check that out as well. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you so much, Melisha. That was awesome. We're gonna just open the floor for a few questions. If you have any, you could just put your digital hands up so we could ask Melisha a few questions. But until we see those hands, Melisha, you said you only created a radio. That's not an only situation. That's a massive thing, because I've never created anything digital before. So that's quite an accomplishment to actually make a radio. So don't take.
Thank you.
So it was a really good presentation, and I always thought of hacking as something bad, but you put the whole cybersecurity side to it. So now that is deemed as bad. You can actually stop the negative side of it by becoming, how do you put it? A white
hat hacker.
A white hat hacker. Never heard of that before. So thank you so much. And I'm really hoping that you're taking notes, because we're going to have a follow-up competition, and it's based on what the presenters are speaking of. So please pay attention, take some notes. And we have a question in the chat. You could put your hand up. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, it's easier in the chat.
Okay, so it says, are there jobs that combine ICT and science, like bio and physics?
Yes, definitely. There are jobs. I can't think of any in particular right now, but as I mentioned at the start of my presentation, businesses, whatever field you are in, it uses technology. So there is definitely an opportunity for anybody with an IT background, in addition to something else that they studied, whether it's business, whether it's art, whether it's science. You can merge these two. Everything comes together with technology. Technology has been very instrumental in developing a lot of the vaccines that we have available today. So I'm not sure how exactly, because I wasn't, part of the research and development team, obviously, but you know, we use technology for everything, whether it's to create models of how this virus is going to mutate probably in certain conditions, under certain temperatures, and in certain environments. We use technology for everything, everything.
All right, awesome. So, okay, so we're gonna, oh, Cheyenne, go ahead, Cheyenne.
Oh, I just had my hand up just to add to what Melisha said about the jobs. Like, just to reiterate, 100% there are jobs available. And just to give some examples, two of my friends, one of them is a bioinformatician, and before she said that's what she was, I didn't know what that was. But her job is using coding, using programming to be able to code DNA, and it's like to help find like cancer treatments, specific cancer treatments. So she's in biology, and like her background is in computer science. I know somebody else doing a similar thing in biophysics with different proteins, and again figuring out, like Melisha mentioned, like modeling how these proteins do whatever jobs that they do, to be able to think of treatments for a number of diseases. So just like some examples, like they're like Melisha very well said, technology is everywhere, like it's in every single field, and there's definitely fields where like science uses it as well.
Awesome, thanks for that clarification, Cheyenne.
Ask questions.
Sorry?
Where the boys can ask questions.
Oh, of course, the boys can ask questions. This is for both boys and girls. Yes, it's called Girls and ICT Day, but the boys are most welcome to ask questions because we can learn from each other. Just that the prizes will be for the girls, that's all. But the boys are most welcome to ask questions, all right? Thank you so much. And just something Melisha said at the beginning, her love started with a curiosity. So there are many things you might be curious about, go and research it, and that might indeed spark, you know, what could be a really successful career in ICT. So don't just leave it alone. If you're curious, do more research. And as she said, ask questions. It doesn't matter if it's from a male or female, get the answers and then proceed from there. So thank you so much for your presentation, Melisha. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna jump to our next presenter because we wanna try to get back on track. And we have Janique-ka John. She is the founder of the Women in Tech Caribbean community. So I'm gonna hand over right to you now. Ms. John, your turn.
Thank you very much. Can you just let me know if you can see my screen? I should be sharing. No, it should be sharing. Okay, great. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Janique-ka John, as was mentioned before. I'm currently a software engineer. Actually, let me switch to the next slide, but I'm gonna speak to you about my road to software engineering, or the road to software engineering, depends on how you look at it. So just a little bit about myself. As I mentioned, I'm a software engineer. Right now, I work primarily as a front-end engineer at a company called Mediagenics in Brussels. I'm a Vincentian, so I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And a fun fact about me, I actually started out studying sciences. And I'm gonna get a little bit more into that a bit later. And as was mentioned before, I'm also the founder of Women in Tech Caribbean, which is a community which is aimed at connecting as many women as possible in the Caribbean, in the tech space with each other, whether they are in the diaspora or at home. So Melisha, so like succinctly and well covered software engineering and some of the questions that I was gonna ask, but I'm still gonna ask them anyways, and I want you to drop them in the chat as possible. Let me just make sure that I can also see the chat, because I want this to be as interactive as possible. If we were here in person, you know, I would have met some of you, hopefully spoken to some of you after this event, and you would have asked me your questions one-on-one. But given the situation that we're in, we can't do that. So I would really like you to answer the questions that I asked in the chat. Let me just make sure that I can actually see the chat. If not, maybe somebody might read them to me. So one of the first questions that I had is, what is software engineering? I really want to know how you view software engineering. What do you think software engineering is? Also wanted to know, when you think about software, what examples come to mind? Also wanted to know what you think software engineers actually do. And a really interesting question that I really would like to hear from all of you is, can you think of some software engineers? Can you give me some examples of software engineers right now? So if you could just drop that in the chat. Let me see if I can see the chat somehow as well. Maybe I have to go to Zoom. Huh. Let me just bring back my presentation. One second. Oh, there we go. Technical difficulty. Okay, we have the presentation. Okay, so I can't see the chat, but still, I would love if you could drop these answers to these questions in the chat.
And for me, Janique-ka?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Kira12 said an example is computers, maybe. Ria Raul, sorry if I'm massacring your name, and my apologies. She says, I guess software would be things like ROM and RAM. And those are the
Perfect. And now I can actually see the chat. So great. Everything is sorted as well. Yeah, so actually, if I go back to the questions, right? So an example is like computers, maybe somebody, right? ROM and RAM. One example that you would be very familiar with of software is actually Zoom. So we're all using Zoom right now. And it's such a perfect example of how software is so pervasive. Pervasive just means it's everywhere. It's part of your life, even without thinking about it. If you like to play video games, for example, that's also software. And software is very dynamic. It changes. Something that you might see today, you might have to update your app or what you're using tomorrow, and you will see actually a new version of your software. Yes, I see somebody mentioned the updating of apps, Google Meet, etc., etc. So there's a really wide range of software available, and they really help us solve problems in our everyday lives, and they help our lives go on. I think if we were to remove software completely from our lives, we will have a very different life right now. Okay, so, and also let me know some examples of software engineers. I'm curious to hear what your answer would be to that. So about my path, when I was very young, and when I say very young, I mean maybe 7, 8. If you asked me what I want to be, I would have said, oh, I want to be a scientist. Maybe I didn't know exactly what it meant, but I knew I want to be a scientist. I want to be a scientist. Anybody ask me, I want to be a scientist. I was even reading a journal, because I used to keep a journal back then. And I had everybody in my class put their names and what they wanted to be. And next to my name, I had big and bold scientist. I want to be a scientist. So this is something that I always had in my mind. So how did I end up being a software engineer right now? I'm going to go through that. So from this love of science, I continued. I went to the Girls High School. If there are any Vincentians here, they might know the Girls High School. And I pursued biology, chemistry, and physics at CXC level. I was in 4 science, 5 science, Form 4 and Form 5 science classes. And I really love science, but there's a common vein here that is actually not so far away from computer science, and I will get back to that in a little while. So then how do you make the connection? So I have some arrows here, and I purposely didn't put them straight because it wasn't a straight line for me. It was a bit of a journey to get here to being a software engineer. How did I jump from doing biology, chemistry, and physics to computer science? Funny enough, I even went to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. Again, if you're from St. Vincent, you might know which school that is, but it's essentially a community college. And I studied, once again, I studied geography, I studied biology and chemistry. I was also still interested in physics, but those were the ones that I decided to go with. But on the side, all the while, I was interested in computer science. I was interested in programming. I was, for example, making websites. I had made a blog, for example, where people would be able to post about problems that we were having in the school. So I was interested in all the while, but I still was studying sciences, natural sciences. I even went on now after my A-levels, it was A-levels at the time, applied to the University of the West Indies to do a bachelor's degree in biology. And at that point, to this day, I don't know exactly what told me to change my mind, but at that point, I got my acceptance letter. And I remember reading the acceptance letter and changing my mind at that point. So this is how late I changed my mind, and I'm still a software engineer to this day. Changed my mind, sent a letter request to Cave Hill to change my degree to information technology, and then eventually changed to a double major in computer science. I will get a little bit into what characteristics I recognize in myself, and I will also invite you to think about these characteristics and think if you really feel, if they resonate with you, if you feel that way too, and maybe software engineering could be a field for you, or maybe becoming a programmer could be a field for you. So I have another question here before I move on to some of the obstacles I faced in this journey. Like I said, it was up and down. What's the most interesting subject for you in school right now? I would really love to hear. It would also help me understand, the crowd and who is here. So if you think about the most interesting subject for you in school, the subject that it's very easy to pay attention to. It doesn't really drain your energy as much as other classes. If you could just drop that in the chat, I'm gonna keep checking the chat and seeing what your interests are. So I see physics so far. Keep dropping them in the chat. Social studies. There are many interesting subjects in my school, but I like IT, Mia said. Social studies. Okay, great. Keep sharing them in the chat. So before I get into some of the characteristics I identified in myself, as I mentioned, I will just quickly talk about some of the obstacles. Because there are obstacles and there will be obstacles, especially as a woman in this tech space. As Melisha said, as she was speaking, I was saying, I resonate so much with what you said, because talking about, being lonely, talking about being the only girl, talking about searching for a mentor and only being able to find male mentors, for example. It's also part of the inspiration as to why I started Women in Tech community. So obstacles. First thing I will touch on is opinions and misconceptions. And this is driven a lot by the media as well. It's driven by people around us. It's driven by imaging. And that's why representation is so important. And that's why events like this one that ECTEL is putting on is so important, so that you can see real life representation of what a software engineer might look like. I get it a lot. Oh, girls don't think like that in the way that software engineers need to think. Or girls don't think, in logical ways. There's also some misconceptions about the female brain and the male brain, and the female brain is different and they can't handle software engineering. I will tell you right now, spoiler, it's not true. I even had a situation while I was studying computer science. I never asked for this situation, but it just fell in my lap. I was there outside the computer science lab, and a guy that I didn't know, who was also studying maybe computer science or mathematics, came up to me and he said, "Oh, you're studying computer science?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, let's have a chat." And he brought me over to the side and he started explaining to me, so for some reason, that, do you know that it's going to be difficult for you because the makeup of the brain is different, and a bunch of different stuff. So I mentioned all of this not to dwell too much on the opinions and misconceptions, but I do know that it's something that we face, especially as women in tech. And I know it's something that causes a problem sometimes with retention, in that a woman realizes, or a girl realizes, that she is really interested in, let's say, programming, but because of all the noise from the outside, she decides to deviate from that field. So I'm just being real and letting you know some of the things that you can hear. For example, you might also get assumptions that you're not technical. And that happens to me. I am a software engineer. It's in my title. Even in my job, sometimes I might find I have certain kinds of interactions where I realize that there's an assumption that I'm not as technical just possibly because I'm a woman. And like I said, this is sometimes fed by the media. If you think about some movie and you think about a hacker, Melisha mentioned hackers, for example, you tend to see, some male in glasses, hunched over a computer, typing away, usually a white male, and you tend to then associate these types of images with software engineers. And this is something that we really have to break. And like I said, that's why events like this is so important. And I get it myself as well. Sometimes I'm in a social setting. We're all going around the table saying like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? And somebody says, oh, Janique-ka, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a software engineer. I'm a programmer. And sometimes they say, what? You don't look like a programmer. What is a programmer supposed to look like? Exactly. So, yeah, I said that to say that, there can be opinions, there can be misconceptions, but we're breaking that even being here today. And what is the solution? Because for every problem, let's present some solutions, find community. Melisha also touched on this from her personal experience. I can tell you from my personal experience, the job that I have right now, 100% of the job offers that I got in the past as well as a programmer was from networking, was from community, was from connecting with other people in my field. And it wasn't an easy feat because, I mentioned that I did a bachelor's degree at Cave Hill, but I also did a master's degree in computer science in Brussels. And that's how I ended up in Brussels, actually. And so it's not so easy for a foreigner, for example, to find a job, just like that. Although software engineering is such an in-demand field because of the language, because of different things. But once you connect with people and you get to know them on a personal level, or you get in a community and each one person tells another person, you find a lot more doors opening up. So what I would suggest to you is to find community. You could go right now, find somebody in the field that you're interested in on social media. Find somebody online, find somebody even in your community if such a person exists. Find community, join communities, try to get to know other people in the field. So why programming? And the next slide, we're going to get into a small activity where we actually think like a software engineer, but why programming? What were the characteristics of programming that was attractive to me? First of all, solving problems. If you really like solving problems, if you like, for example, figuring out puzzles, software engineering might be the field for you. If you think about a Rubik's Cube, for example, and you could see yourself really sitting down for an afternoon, trying to figure out, how do I get this Rubik's Cube, all the colors on one side, you really find yourself engrossed in these types of activities, then programming is really the field for you, because programming is a daily task of having problems and trying to use code to solve it. Actually, today is a work day for me. So this morning, for example, there was a bug and I had to try to reproduce the bug, go into the code and it was a puzzle, trying to figure out what exactly was causing this bug, and I trace it, found the solution, feel good, moment of satisfaction. And this is something that is a common characteristic with a lot of programmers. They really like this feeling of, going through the difficulty of solving a problem, finding a problem, solving it, finding the solution. So solving problems, problem solving, figuring out puzzles, and also seeing results quickly. This is a big part of this field. In software engineering, Melisha mentioned front-end engineering, which is where I specialize in right now. You tend to see the effects of what you're doing immediately. If you change, for example, something on the screen here, you see the feedback of it immediately on the screen. It's not a field where you make changes and they have to go through a lot of bureaucracy, etc. So you see results quickly. So quick exercise, and this is something I want us all to do together. I want us to do what is the first stages of thinking like a software engineer. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that we need to do to think like a software engineer is think of a problem statement. And I'm going to do this exercise with you, so I hope you're all thinking along with me. Either you could also put it in the chat, you could share it in the chat, or you could keep it to yourself, or you could share it in the group that you're in right now. So think of a problem statement. What does that mean? Okay, so for me personally, if I think of a problem right now, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that La Soufrière in St. Vincent is erupting. I think about maybe the destruction from the volcano. Then I start to think a little bit more. I think about probably the livestock. I think about the fact that there are a lot of farmers in that area. A lot of things were destroyed. We would need things like funding, etc. And maybe, just maybe, they might need some way to keep track of maybe destruction of the livestock, or maybe they might need to keep track of different things. So think of a problem statement. It doesn't have to be like mine. It could be something small. It could be something in your home. It could be something in your family. It could be something in your country. So think along with me here. Think about a problem that you want to solve. Did something come to mind already? The next step is to ask a lot of questions. So I hope you have your problem in mind right now. Ask a lot of questions about the problem. The first problem that comes to mind, your mind might be a bit ambiguous. We need to clarify the problem. We need to think exactly about what it is, and we need to zoom in on it a little bit more and be a little bit more specific. So clarify the problem. So if I think back about my problem, again, think about your own problem. If I think about my problem, I started thinking about livestock. I started thinking about farmers. I started thinking about the destruction that was caused by the situation. Maybe if I clarify this question a bit more, I might ask myself questions like, how many farmers are there? Are there actually farmers? What type of livestock? Is it just animals? Or is it actually crops as well that were destroyed? Do I want to consider damage of property? Do I want to keep it just to livestock? Do I want to include? So ask yourself all of these questions. All of this is in the vein of thinking like a software engineer. So we have the problem statement. We clarify the problem. The next step and the final step is to craft a solution. So again, keep thinking about your own problem. Think about how you narrowed it down. Think about the clarification. And now we can put a solution on this clear problem. So again, thinking about my problem, maybe the solution is to create an app where the farmers, if they have access to devices, and again, this is a clarifying question, and this can actually happen while you're crafting the solution. You might find yourself asking more clarifying questions. I might say, okay, do the farmers actually have access to a camera? Maybe I find out, oh, they all have cell phones. They all have at least a camera. Maybe I come up with an app where the farmers can take a picture of the destruction, take a picture of maybe if I decide to include buildings, and keep track of what they lost and send this file to the government. I see somebody said the problem I want to stop is pollution. I love that. I love that. Somebody else said the dwindling number of children being born in a country. Very, very interesting. Wow. You guys are really thinking about some interesting problems here. You're already thinking like software engineers. I love that. So think next about, so keep these problems to yourself. I'll share these problems with us, but even after I end this presentation, take a note of these problems and follow these steps that I have mentioned here and really start to flesh out your problem, and you might come up with a solution. And next thing you know, in a month, we heard that Kaylee has launched a program that solves pollution. So I was really looking forward to that, Kaylee. So on the vein of that, and you can keep thinking about your problem, you can even share them in the chat. I'm reading as well. How do you start exploring software engineering right now? And this is one of the things, before I share the resources, this is one of the things that I love about this field. You can really get to where you want to go with little friction. And Melisha mentioned this as well. You don't even need a degree. You can get started with software engineering right now. How do you do that? The first thing I mentioned is practice, practice, practice. This is a field. It's kind of like mathematics. Maybe your parents have told you this as well. Mathematics is practice. How do you become good at maths? You practice. It's the same with software engineering. How do you become a good software engineer? Practice. The difference between a great software engineer and an average software engineer is, guess what? Practice. And so this is why I actually asked you to do this exercise, because as you thought about your problems, as you thought about how to clarify it, and as you actually thought about the solution, a good practice might be for you to try to start exploring how you would do that with software engineering, how you would actually solve the problem with an app, a website. It could be many different things. And as I mentioned, there is very little friction between you and getting your problem out there, your solution out there. For example, I did work on a website last year during the lockdown called Carry COVID Map. Essentially, a journalist approached me with a problem. What was his problem? Oh, you know, there are a lot of COVID figures available out there, but us as journalists in the Caribbean, we have to go to these international sites. We have to go and pick out individually every Caribbean country and find what the COVID numbers are, the active cases, and manually tally that up. What was the solution I came up with? Carry COVID Map, essentially a map where it just focuses on the Caribbean islands, programmatically checks the data and the information that was available, and bam, we have the numbers. So even that, all of that was practice. And the last point that I have mentioned here is start collecting the things that you've worked on. In this field in software engineering, because there's so little friction between this idea and this solution, and presenting your solution and having the solution available to the world, it's also very important to keep a portfolio. So you can keep, for example, your programs that you've developed on a website called GitHub. So I would actually type it in the chat, GitHub. And you could also find examples of programs that people have already created. It's important to start keeping track of the things that you've actually worked on. And this helps a lot when it comes to hiring, when it comes to presenting yourself as a good candidate to work on a company. Typically, they would love to see, okay, what have you already worked on? So even as you keep thinking about the ideas, also think about collecting these ideas. I mentioned here freecodecamp.com, but I was before I learned about Codecamp Carib as well, which is amazing. I wasn't aware of it before, but I would love to actually check it out myself. But I would encourage you to also check it. And also freecodecamp.org, as I mentioned here. You could go ahead, you could go right now. I hope you're writing these things down. And get started, you know, choose your language of choice. For me personally, right now at work, I work with JavaScript, but you can also work with Java, C++, C#, you know, there are many different programming languages, and the hottest, let's say, or the latest programming language changes every day. And so the more important thing or the key part is learning certain basic concepts. So that was it from me. Short presentation, but I really hope that the activity that I gave you kind of whet your appetite for software engineering, what it means to think like a software engineer. And I hope that you would even go on afterwards and, you know, start looking into how you could start building maybe a simple program. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm Janique-ka John, and I have my email address here. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about, you know, software engineering, enter the field, how I got my job. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm really happy to share this kind of information. because right now I'm giving the talk that I wish I had, and I'm giving the guidance that I wish I had when I was in your shoes. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer. And I also share the social media handle here of my community. Like I said, the goal is to connect as many women and girls, but mainly women for now, in the Caribbean space, tech space, together with each other, because we are so fragmented, unfortunately, in the Caribbean. Water divides us, but we also, don't connect digitally for some reason. And I really think that there is power to be unlocked in all of us in the tech space, knowing each other and sharing our opportunities, ideas, jobs, everything with each other. So that was it from me. If you have any questions, please let me know. And also, as I said, please reach out to me via email. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Janique-ka. That was excellent. Wow. So remember, you can ask a few questions in the chat and she'll be happy to answer. And I love where she said, don't deviate or give up your goal, even if others might tell you it's not possible. That's really important, especially for the girls in the audience. Not because you're a girl, you can't be logical. I quite like that. And what does a software engineer look like? Yeah. So that was really interesting, guys. Just remember her really wise words, stick to it. And I now look at the Rubik's Cube differently because my son is obsessed with it and it would drive me nuts that he just sits and does this. I didn't ever think he could probably be a programmer. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I just thought, my goodness, this child could do something more constructive with his life. So thanks for that. So if you like Rubik's Cubes, there you go. Probably programming is in your future. And you have somebody that said, Mia, I love that presentation. Thank you so much. So I'm not seeing any questions, but if you drop it in, she'll be happy to answer. And I noticed that we have students from Trinidad, St. Lucia, and Dominica. If you're from any other country, could you just drop it in the chat so we get a good idea of the countries represented here? And I'm really happy that these women, and might I say, I could be wrong, they all look very young, are here with us today. And as Janique-ka said, she wished she had this opportunity to interact with women in the area that she loves. So this is what it's providing for you. This is a really amazing opportunity to interact with women and be inspired, and not just women, but Caribbean women, strong Caribbean women. I really love that. Somebody said Pakistan. Okay. All right. So thanks for joining us. Yes, I see St. Lucia. Awesome. So if any other countries are there, let us know. If your country is already written, you don't have to write yours. We just want to get an idea of the representation here. So we are just going to break from the talking for a little while, and we have Melanie Norley from the current secondary school who's just going to share a little song with us. So I'm going to hand over to Melanie. The floor is yours, Melanie.
Good morning.
So hopefully her background will get quiet for her. She's at school right now. Okay, Melanie, let's try again.
Okay, I can start now.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. child who's afraid of the dark. But when I call on Jesus, all things are possible. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When I call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause he'll move heaven and earth to come rescue me when I call. La 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 broken doors are you're not alone. If you're tired and scared of the madness around you, if you can't find the strength to carry on, when you call on Jesus, all things are possible. You can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When you call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause it will heaven and earth to come rescue me when you call. Call him in the morning, in the afternoon time, late in the evening, you'll be there. When your heart is broken and you feel discouraged, you can just remember that he said he'll be there. When you call on Jesus, all things are possible. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When you call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause it will heaven and earth to come rescue you when you call. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When you call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause it will heaven and earth to come rescue me when I call. La 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 la
Thank you so much, Melanie. If you enjoyed that, just drop a 1 in the chat. That was beautiful. And I have the privilege and blessing to hear Melanie at church almost every Sunday. So I'm happy to share her with you. Thank you so much, Melanie. And I know you are at school and probably in a class, so thanks for breaking your schedule to bless us with your beautiful voice and message. Thank you so very much. So we're gonna continue, and we have Cheyenne next. She is the OECS Commission representative for the Outstanding Youth in Science. And so Cheyenne, I know you have a meeting soon. Thank you for hanging in there with us. And I'm going to hand over to you right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my slides now. Okay, is everyone seeing that? Great. I might be seeing Zoom too. Hello everyone, like Kurt said, my name is Cheyenne and I'm here today on behalf of the OECS Commission as one of the Outstanding Youth in Science. And I'm really honored to be here and just to see all the other speakers. Like, your stories are so amazing and it's so nice to see other Caribbean women just killing it in their fields. So it's really an honor to be here. Today, my presentation is going to be similar to our other speakers before. Just a bit more about who I am and how I got into science or ICT. So my background is in astrophysics, and I'm currently working in finance technology. So we'll get into a bit about how I ended up in science and then how I kind of moved away from science. So details of my journey, the challenges I faced, and ending with how you can do it too. So we've already got some amazing advice from the previous speakers. So I will also be able to like hopefully add my 2 cents as well. So I'm from St. Lucia. I saw a lot of people saying they were from St. Lucia in the chat. So hey, I'm born and raised in St. Lucia. I went to convent. So for those who know, St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School, and I attended the South Louis Community College. I left there in 2015. So throughout secondary school and college, I did science subjects. I did all 3 sciences for CXE, for CSEC, and then I did chemistry, mathematics, and physics when I got to A-level. I was lucky enough to start my degree in the same year that I graduated from South Africa. So September 2015, I moved to England and I started an integrated master's in physics and astrophysics. So all that really means is I did my bachelor's degree, which is my first degree and as well as my master's degree, which is normally be a second degree in one program. So that's why they call it an integrated master's. And then physics and astrophysics just means that I had my degree was split like 50-50 between physics information and astronomy information. The employment experience, we'll get into that as well. It's because I did an internship between, so my degree was originally 4 years, and then I did an internship between my 3rd year and my 4th year. So my degree ended up being 5 years, and I got to add with employment experience at the end of my degree title. So a bit in more details into like how I got into science. So similarly to some of the previous speakers, I've always been just very curious. I think Melisha mentioned just being curious about how she was calling someone from like in a different country. I was just curious about how everything around me worked. Like I would just look at something and wonder, how did that work? And when I started doing physics, I realized that physics was that subject that explained how the world around you works. So if you throw a ball, physics will explain how, like why the ball is going at a certain speed. So that's like, it quickly became my favorite subject, and I really liked mathematics as well. So like physics was just my heaven. And then I realized in Form 3 that I came across Galileo Galilei, and he was an astronomer and a physicist. And in doing my research for one of my projects at school, I realized that I came across the word astrophysics, and I thought, why are they combining astronomy and physics? And that's when I realized that physics like concepts were what they were actually using to explain all the things happening in space. And I realized there was an entire field of study called astrophysics where I could study how everything in the universe worked. And from that point, I was 15 at that point, and from that time I realized that's exactly what I want to do. And I stuck to it, and that's why I stuck to sciences at A-level as well. So starting off with my journey and starting off with some of the challenges that I faced. So in my first year of university, like I used to be very shy, very quiet. I'm still a little bit of an introvert, but more so a bit more social now. And moving to a new country, a new school, and being part of lecture theaters with like over 100 students, almost 200 students, it was very daunting at first. And I found it a bit difficult to make friends in the beginning because I was just afraid to talk to anybody. But then I realized over time that a lot of people were in the same situation. So I moved from St. Lucia to England, and I was in a new country, but there were a lot of people, even if they grew up in England, they were moving from their hometown to another city to do university. So there were a lot of students in that same situation where they didn't know anyone. And I started out very small, talking to people in smaller groups. So whenever we had like maybe my lab partner, or we used to have small tutorial groups, like just trying to be friendly and make conversation in those smaller groups. And then eventually I got more and more comfortable meeting new people and being able to just maybe go to an event or conference and just start a conversation with everyone. So if you are someone who's like very shy now, just know that it doesn't have to be that way forever. And even if you are, like, it's not a problem. It's just that it's something I eventually ended up growing out of when I ended up in an entirely new environment. Another thing that kind of comes along with a new environment, especially when you feel like you're progressing through your school or through your career, something that's called imposter syndrome. So you feel like you almost like you shouldn't be there, that you're not smart enough to be there, you're not good enough to be there. So coming into a university that was my degree, so my class with almost 200 people were mostly white and mostly male. I was the only Black woman, or the only Black girl like in my class. There were three Black guys, one Black girl, and everybody else was white, and the majority of them were men. So needless to say, I very much stood out, and I very much like sometimes felt alone and felt isolated and felt like maybe I shouldn't be here. But I'm here to tell you, like, just because you're different doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. And that's more reason for you to be there. And that's why I really love being here today and seeing these other like really powerful Caribbean women sharing their stories, because we need more people like us in this space to show that it's possible and to make people feel like you do belong there. If you're interested in something, you have the passion and you've put in the work to get there, like you belong to be in that space. And the next thing that always like comes up when you think about education, university qualifications is finances. And it is something that I struggled with throughout, and other people like struggle with as well. There's no secret that it's expensive. But what I will say is, where there's a will, there's a way. I don't come from a rich family, and I made it through my degree just from the support of like my loved ones, my university. Like, there are scholarships out there. There are people who are really like willing to support you. So I'll say, if you're worried about finances, like, don't let that be the reason you don't push for your dreams. Like, I've seen situations where people have created scholarships for someone, like they haven't been in situation, there was no scholarship available for maybe the degree they wanted to do or for the country they wanted to go to, but they saw so much potential in this person that they found different organizations, different donors to pool money together to create a scholarship just for that person to go out there and fulfill their dreams. So don't let that be something that stops you. It is a barrier and it is something to think about, but it's not something that you should let it crush your dreams. If you know you're passionate about something, just know there's a way for you to do it. So some highlights from my degree. So the picture at the top is during one of my an astronomy field trip. So every year my department selects between 8 and 10 students to go to the Canary Islands, which are like some small islands off the coast of Africa. And it's an international observatory with like a lot of professional telescopes. So this picture here is me and my group. So I'm second from the left in the pink shirt, in front of the world's largest telescope. And we got to go inside, we got to like do a tour, got to see how the people who work with the telescope, see what they do, and just find out the history of like why the telescope was built and what kind of amazing research that's being done with it. I also mentioned the employment experience part of like my degree title. So I did a summer internship as well as an internship for a year in the UK government. So I got a chance to be an analyst there. So being able to help them solve their problems and use my data analysis and my problem solving skills to help like the government of England. Like, to me, that's something that's, you think like a small Caribbean girl, like you might see yourself as that, or a small Caribbean guy, because I know we have both boys and girls here, but you can have so much impact. Like the world is your oyster. There's nothing stopping you because you come from a small island, or because there's not many Caribbean people or very many Black people in a certain field, it doesn't mean that you can't have an impact on that. And those experiences really showed me that I can make a difference in a different country on a global scale, and you can do the same thing too. So in line with that, I ended up volunteering for the Space Generation Advisory Council, which is like a global organization that partnered with the United Nations, and their job is to give young people like us a voice in the space sector. So they realize that we're the leaders, we're the future, and they want us to be able to start making those connections, start getting involved in the decision-making process in space in particular. And through that, so I was the national point of contact for St. Lucia, so kind of the person connecting St. Lucia with the council. And I found some other people who were also interested in that mission or interested in astronomy and science. And together we founded St. Lucia's first National Astronomy Association. So if you're interested in astronomy, science, even engineering, computer science, like there's so much space in the world of astronomy for people who just have a passion for it. Like you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you just search International Astronomy Association or like at Luna 758. And just another, like one of the highlights with like my degree itself, I mentioned that we went to the Canary Islands to do like our research project. So my bachelor's research project was all about black holes and using data from the telescopes in that observatory to try to see how heavy black holes were. And then my master's project was trying to figure out like why we see some of the things we see in our solar system today. So I got a chance to use real data from telescopes, to use combined programming, combine all of my theory from my physics and my astrophysics classes to be able to do actual research and seeing how astronomers like find things out. So all of the things that end up in textbooks eventually, actually seeing the beginning stages of how they were able to find that out. So that was like definitely one of the highlights of my degree. So I mentioned in the beginning that I'm in finance technology. So when you think of finance, you think of like banks, you think of even like insurance companies, people who deal with your pensions, someone like civil service, like a lot of these different organizations can come under the bracket of finance. It's really people who are managing other people's money. And the technology side is dealing with the software and the different applications and all the data that these people use. So my job is to support these people in giving them the software platform, helping them use the software platform to be able to manage the money from their own clients that they have. And that goes to speak for, Melisha mentioned transferable skills in the beginning, because the reason I ended up in this role is because of the transferable skills I got from my physics degree. So with the problem solving skills, the programming skills, even communication skills, being able to, like in science, you have to write a lot of reports and lab reports, that's like building up on your communication skills. So using all of that and saying that, so yes, I didn't have a finance background, but I could use those same skills I got from my degree and use that in my job now and learn the finance theory along the way. But I am very passionate about science, about astrophysics, and the big goal is to be a science communicator. So breaking down all of the astrophysics concepts that I love and breaking it down for everybody to understand. And it's something that I do right now on social media. So even alongside my job and like, especially on Twitter, I'll have my handles like at the end of the presentation. But that's kind of the goal, is to be able to make everybody like understand how amazing some of the research is that's going on. Like I don't think science and technology and all of those quote unquote complicated subjects, I don't think they should only be left for the scientists and the engineers. Like everybody should be able to feel like they're connected to that and feel like they're a part of that. And that's something I want to bridge the gap between the science community and just everyone else who's interested and just wants to learn more. So how you can do it too, like I mentioned, you've got a lot of great advice from the speakers before. I will say work hard and follow your passion. Like there's no substitute for hard work. And I promise you, if you're passionate about something and you work hard at it, you will be successful. There's no certain person that's supposed to be a scientist or certain person that's supposed to be in technology. Like, it's up to you. If you're passionate about it and you do the work, you will be successful. As for help, Janique-ka mentioned a great point about connecting with people online. I'm happy for you to connect with me as well if you're interested in any of the natural sciences or even astronomy. Like, I'm happy for you to reach out to me if you have any more detailed questions. But even just your teachers, the people around you, like when I was applying for astrophysics, there was no one around me who was an astrophysicist, but I had teachers who had, of course, gone away and done their degree. I had people who had done their degrees in England, people who could help me with my personal statements for my application. So there were people who had done bits and pieces of what I wanted to do, and they were willing to help me, even if there wasn't one person who specifically went down the route of astrophysics. Something else I will say is that you don't have to have every single thing figured out right now. When I graduated last year, I had no idea what my next step was. I just knew that I was passionate about science. I knew what skills I had, and I knew I needed a job to make money. And I kind of just figured it out along the way. So I was fortunate enough to land a really good job that's very interesting, and that's using a lot of my technical skills, but I'm still here figuring out exactly what I want my career to look like, exactly what I want my next steps to be. So don't feel like just because you don't know exactly what you want to do now, or you don't know exactly how to get there, it's not the end of the world. You have time to figure it out. Janique-ka mentioned that she changed her mind like quite late in the game. So it's never too late to like change your mind to figure things out. So don't feel any pressure that you have to have every single step of your career laid out like right now. So those would be my tips of how you would just be able to get into any career you want, whether it be STEM, whether it be ICT or anything else that you're interested in. And thank you so much for listening. This is my contact information. You can find me on social media by just like searching my name, or you can look for the Astronomy Association at Luna with 2 A's 758. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
All right, thank you so very much. Cheyenne, are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. Just a few things Cheyenne said. It's okay to be shy, but you're gonna change whenever it's necessary to do so. You don't have to stay in that little box, but you can expand your horizon and stop being an introvert and being more out there. Yes, I like that. And the imposter syndrome, that you don't feel smart enough. Many people suffer with that and aren't brave enough to say, I have that issue too. So I'm happy that somebody as smart as Cheyenne shares a similar issue of mine, that you have an imposter syndrome. I would have never guessed. And the world is your oyster. Not because you're from a small island, it means that your thinking is small or you can't do great things. This is really important, children, and I'm really hoping that you're listening, because you can do great things. You could work in your country of your choice, that you were born in, or another country like Janique-ka and Cheyenne. It does not matter. You can make a contribution anywhere in the world, irrespective of where you're from. So that's really important. And the last point is to use your skills and transfer into different areas. In the chat earlier, I saw somebody he wanted to do 3 things. I think 3 different professions, and nothing is wrong with that. Like Melisha, she's an assistant engineer, but she's also a graphic designer. So you don't have to stick to one thing. If you have different passions, merge them together and pursue. So thank you so much, Cheyenne. I know you probably can't stay until the end because you have a meeting. We appreciate your presentation, and I'm hoping that persons would follow you on social media to just learn more about what you're doing and to join the groups you shared. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I know we're a little behind time and we're losing a few folks. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Mindy-Luquiana for her presentation. So over to you, Mindy.
Okay, thank you so much, Kareta. It's been actually a very inspiring morning, and I am just happy to be here. So I will just go ahead and share my presentation very quickly so that we can get started. Whilst I'm doing that, just a little bit about myself. And it's so good that Coretta mentioned a while ago that it's good that you can be in different fields or have different passions. And this is what would help to bring things full circle. So my name is Mindy-Luquiana Chicot, as Coretta mentioned. Actually, my name Luquiana is derived from the Latin name that means light. So I've always thought that I have been here to spread light using the gifts that I have. And I do have many gifts. And as a result of that, this is why I've been able to pull everything together. And I am here today. So like many of the presenters, I just want to point to some of the things that they said. Curiosity, technology is in everything, and science is everything around us. Everyone should feel connected to technology and science. So I'm here today as the Marketing and Communications Director for ALE. It's a rideshare app which was recently launched in St. Lucia. I also wear many other hats, as well as being a director of Rise St. Lucia. I have my own company, which is a marketing, communications, and event management firm, and that is strictly online. I do not have a physical location. And also I work in between 2 countries with One St. Vincent Group Inc. So this is just to give you guys a little idea of who I am. But outside of all of that, the thing that I enjoy doing the most is actually writing poetry. So I guess with that, it has helped to bring me to where I am today. Like many of the speakers, I actually started in science at secondary school, science along with languages. And not too long after, I moved on to the arts, the social sciences, because I had a teacher who said to me, you have a gift for speaking. You have a very unique eye. And as a result of that, I think that you should pursue something business related, but combine all of these skills so that you can actually help people to bridge different gaps. So who is ALE Inc? So actually ALE Inc was founded by 2 young St. Lucian women. They are actually very avid travelers like myself. So I believe that I was born in St. Lucia, but I'm a citizen of the world. And as a result, like the 2 co-founders, we have had so many different experiences throughout the world, going to countries where we can't even speak the language. And as a result, we decided that we wanted to bring some of that to St. Lucia. So our vision is to revolutionize travel in the Caribbean region and facilitate the free movement of people. So you would have heard me say, I was born in St. Lucia, but I feel like I'm a citizen of the world. And this is what the ALE Inc. experience is all about, helping people to feel free and allowing them to move freely. So our objectives were to provide safe, convenient, and dependable door-to-door transportation island-wide, use technology to improve productivity and efficiency, 3, increase income earning opportunities for locals, and 4, reduce parking congestion. So earlier on as well, Janique-ka would have mentioned, how do you start? And it's by identifying a problem statement. And for us, this is what we identified here in St. Lucia. People have been able to move around, but not as freely as they would like, not at their own pace, when they would like, or how they would like. And this is why we decided to launch ALE, so we can give people these opportunities. So ALE is actually an app. If you go onto the iOS store right now or Google, you would actually be able to access ALE. You can download it. There are 2 options. There is the driver app. You would have seen earlier, we mentioned creating opportunities for locals to earn an income. And then there is the passenger app, or rider app, as we'd like to say. And that is where you are able to interface with the brand. So what are some of the benefits of mobile app technology? It's literally at your fingertips. It reduces customer wait time as they produce a much faster alternative to web browsing. Apps are a great marketing tool as it keeps a business visible and top of mind. apps increase customer engagement, and apps help to reduce operating costs by reducing costs related to printing, calls, and SMS. So one of the things we would note, especially even with the Ali app, and in developing it, we've realized that you're able to have one-on-one interaction with your clients, your customers, your riders. You can send direct messages to them. It's instant because they receive it right there on their phone. And these are just some of the benefits of app technology. It is something that is vastly increasing across every single industry in the world, including marketing, shopping. I mean, app technology has pretty much revolutionized the entire consumer experience, and it's also revolutionized the way that people interact with businesses and interact with one another as well. Again, even Zoom. You have Zoom for web, and you have Zoom as an app as well that you can actually download. What does the new customer journey look like? With STEAM, as we mentioned earlier, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And I love the fact that it's STEAM because the arts are included in there. What does the new customer journey look like? The average household has a total of 6 smart devices per individual. So I just want you guys to take a moment and just quickly think of your own household, and you guys can put it in the chat and let me know how many smart devices that you have. Now, when you're thinking of those smart devices, don't forget, you may have a smart fridge. There's also the aspect of whether or not you actually have a pacemaker, or you have any of these other household, a smart TV. Any of these household items are also considered smart. So how many smart devices do you presently have in your household? If you guys can place it in the chat, that would be great. And it would give you an idea of what the new customer experience is like. Over 57% of high-income households use only online technology for purchasing products and services. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, we would have noticed that in St. Lucia, there was an acceleration with local businesses to provide you with services and products online. So we had curbside pickup, we had persons develop apps where you could place orders for your food and this would be delivered to you. So what does this have to do with technology? We're talking about the customer journey, looking at awareness, consideration, purchase, service, and loyalty expansion with customers. Just a comparison here for you. Online right now, you can actually have display ads, you have YouTube, you have websites, you have social media. Now, when you look at your offline touch points, we have something we call OOH, which is out of home, billboard, bus wrap. This would be other visibility items that you have within the trade. And then there is the in-store. Many people are unable to leave their homes due to health conditions, due to the fact that they work from home now, and as a result, they don't have enough time. You too have also experienced not being able to leave home and having to access school via the online platforms. You can share with us how that experience has been. You can just put it in the chat, how you have been able to maneuver with the whole online learning experience. Tell us if it's something that you've liked, and if you haven't liked it, tell us why you didn't like it either. But you will see here, we said apps have become the bridge tying the in-store experience and web applications seamlessly. So again, with app technology, there is so much that you can do. You look at even platforms such as PayPal, which helps you to manage different currencies. You can have somebody send you money and it's literally on your phone within seconds. And similarly with the Ali experience, this is what we would like to bring to our customers. So there are 5 digital behaviors that we've noticed that most persons would like. So everybody wants everything now. They do not want to feel overburdened with any processes, meaning that they need to fill out all these forms, walk over here, drop it here, get it stamped. They don't want that anymore. So a lot of persons don't even want to have to carry cash around. And we we do know that there are safety implications as well with carrying around cash. So for your own personal safety, persons do not wish to have any form of cash payments, but they want contactless payments. So the Alley experience is going to give you instant access, streamlined processes, live assistance. So you don't have to wait in line to get an answer to a question. You go into the app, you click chat, and instantly somebody is there assisting you. Contactless payments and electronic records. What are electronic records? So I like to give this example of typically before at the end of the month, I would probably do my groceries and then I take all the receipts and I go back and I try to see how I went over my budget. I don't have to do that anymore. Everything can literally be recorded in my phone. So this is the same experience with Ale. You top up and you're able to spend your money as you would like freely. So I will just share with you one of our customer ads now. So Ale will take you there. This is what Ale stands for. And with the app technology, we would like to really, as I said, give people the feeling of being able to move freely. And speaking to this theme, which we mentioned earlier, some of you from St. Lucia would have noticed the artist who was in this video, who is Dale. And this is the type of experience, that we would like to extend to persons. You know, you have an event and parking is a problem. So why not leave your car at home and use the Alley experience so you can get there faster, safely, and of course in minimal time without having to feel as if there's so much pressure on you as well. Additionally, what Ale likes to do is go within the communities, and for us, it's about our customers deserve options. They need to feel special and also rewarded for their loyalty. Likewise as well, we would like to bridge the gap in allowing more St. Lucian persons, and of course, when we extend throughout the Caribbean, to have income earning opportunities. So with this app, this rideshare app, drivers can actually log in. Again, because safety is one of the things that we take very seriously, they would need to update driver's license, police record, etc. But once they're approved to be an Alley driver, it means that they have the opportunity to earn extra income. So you have an 8 to 5. Cheyenne would have mentioned earlier on, sometimes it's very difficult when you pursue an education to be able to actually afford it. Like myself, when I pursued my bachelor's degree, I actually had to work 4 jobs at the time just so that I could actually pay for my degree. Now, if something like Ali was around at that time, more than likely I would have hopped on that opportunity as well to be able to earn income the way that I like it on my own time. So I will just share with you as well our driver recruitment ad.
Earn extra income. Flexibility. Drive when you want to and how often you want to.
Robust and ever-changing safety features to protect drivers.
Convenient payout methods and the schedules.
Rewards for exceptional ratings and driving history.
So I hope you guys have already started to click and download the Alley app. I'm going to be checking because I can get the notifications instantly to see how many persons have already downloaded the app. And that is the ease of app technology. So what is Alley's promise? Alley's promise is accessibility, faster on-demand access to products, services, and experiences. We all want to be able to feel free. We want to be able to enjoy the things that we love. And this is what Ali would like to bring to you to get you there. So you don't own a vehicle, that's okay. Take an Ali. What we want to do, we want to continue to engage, creating valuable content in an age of abundance. Content for us is very important, and content that is actually relatable. So hence the reason you would see we've used local artists, we're going to the different communities, local influencers. It's all about building that community. We want to customize, providing a customized experience for you. So you take an alley and you decide that you would like to hear soca music. Ali has got you covered, and looking at the safety aspect of it as well and customizing that experience, you're actually able to track your ride from, well, before your driver gets there to when your driver picks you up and when your driver actually drops you off. We're actually able to do that as well. So what it does, it allows us to ensure that you are safe. It alerts us to anything that may be happening in the area so that you don't have to feel so that you're not left behind in the event of traffic or any of these things. We are here to make the experience one that will be comfortable for you. And we want to connect. We want to build a digital experience that allows for expression and communication with our customers as well as our brand. So just like the name Ale rolls off your tongue and our tagline will take you there, we want persons to feel that genuine connection with our brand. The experience is fully digital, but we do not want you to feel as if it's a completely automated experience. Whilst AI technology is great, it can become a little bit frustrating at times when you feel as if you're talking to the computer and it's just not understanding you. And this is why we've ensured that through our Ali app, customers will not have that type of difficulty. And we want to collaborate with customers to build the business. Contribute can be, and we also want to contribute actively and also passively if we can. So is there still room for you in ICT? Through our journey in developing an app-based service here in the Caribbean, we have seen so many areas that can be improved with the use of technology. Like Janique-ka would have mentioned earlier, all you need to do is to start to think of a problem. Industry 4.0 is considered the fourth industrial revolution, and each of you are poised to take advantage of this new wave. Key factors we considered when we were actually developing the app: the popularity of the app. What was the app's purpose? Was it the right time? The resources that were needed for the business, and what would be required of us in order to have a seamless service and product that customers can easily access and feel happy and comfortable about. We know that we're in an age of data collection, and data privacy is something that is very important to us. And so we want to ensure everyone that your data is actually not being exchanged with any company or anything, or anyone who would like to just purchase so that they can send you ads. So looking at growing trends towards automation and data exchange in technology and manufacturing processes, and possibilities are endless. And I say the possibilities are endless because if we look back to STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, the ballerina who's able to leap in the air and who's able to go on point, science is involved in that. For me, marketing is actually the profession that I have built, and this is what my career has been in. And even now, it's constantly changing. App There is an app today, tomorrow there's a software update, and marketing has evolved so much over time that I have to ensure that I'm extremely responsive. I'm keeping up to date, ensuring that I am doing all the different certificates, learning the different programs. So there is so much involved in the ICT sector and so much room for you. And I just want you guys to know that the sky is the limit, as was mentioned earlier. And if I can borrow from Melisha, she said that, you know, we often hear that it's a man's world, but let me just quote Beyonce, but we're the ones who run it. So we are the girls in ICT and we have to ensure that we run it. And I'll leave this here and I am now open to any questions.
Hold on.
All right, thank you so much, Mindy. Somebody had a question about the safety of bikes. I'm not sure if you want to address that.
No, most definitely. So as I said, we take safety very seriously. So road safety. So this is why we ensure that all our drivers have the proper licensing. They actually undergo a training course as well, which teaches them road safety, ensuring that that is actually reiterated in the entire process. Every single alley bike driver must wear a helmet, and the passengers as well. They must wear a helmet at all times throughout the ride. So it's funny, science is all around us. And similarly, it almost feels as if there's imminent danger everywhere that we go. But how we mitigate this danger is taking all the steps necessary to ensure that we are safe. So yes, definitely your bike ride with Ali will definitely be a safe one.
All right, thank you so very much, Mindy, for your presentation. And what I loved about Mindy is how she's involved in so many different things, but yet still she's able to combine it to make a difference and to serve. And also in St. Lucia and many other Caribbean countries, I presume, transportation might be a major issue. I remember when I first moved here, I lived in Montreal and I would wait over 1 hour to get a bus. And if you missed the bus at a certain time, you're basically late. So this is something I think that's really important. And I liked how Janique-ka said stuff earlier to say, look for the problem, and here is Mindy finding a solution. So guys, there are many problems around us, and you've seen and heard from these amazing presenters that the solution lies within you. You don't have to look to a man or anybody else. We as women, as girls, can find the solutions to these issues. So thank you so much to all the presenters. And I'm going to just share a little competition we have. And I will share the rules again on our Facebook page. If you just search for ECTEL or the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority on Facebook or on Instagram, we are ECTEL Authority. We just started the page, so let's see if you will join it and help us to grow. I'm going to put the rules there, but essentially, I want you to share a pic of yourself interacting with technology. And you're going to tag us either on Facebook or Instagram. And I want you to state your full name, your school, and your country. And I want you to give at least 1 or 2 things that each presenter said as it relates to ICT or STEAM. Very simple. So I'll put the rules there again so you can enter. And it's just for a couple of days. And then we're going to be giving out some certificates to some online ICT courses, which I'm hoping you would be inspired to do now that you've heard from these wonderful Caribbean women in ICT. So I'm going to hand over now to my colleague, General Augustine Henry, to deliver the vote of thanks. Stay with us.
Good morning to everyone. Our Managing Director, Mr. Andrew Billett, representatives from our sister organizations, presenters, viewers on Facebook Live, and a special good morning to all our young participants from across the region. My name is Jana Augustine Henry, and I can proudly say that I am a girl in ICT, more so a woman. I am the Information Systems Manager at ECTEL, and I had 2 jobs this morning: to provide technical support for this very important virtual talk and to give the vote of thanks, which I will do now very briefly because I know we've taken a bit of time. So on behalf of the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, I would like to firstly thank our 4 very impressive dynamic speakers, Melisha, Janique-ka, Cheyenne, and Mindy, for agreeing to come on board and for delivering such inspiring presentations to us all, especially to our young participants. By highlighting yourselves, your journeys, and providing insight on opportunities in the field of ICT, you have definitely sowed seeds of interest in all our participants, young and old. A coworker of mine actually messaged during the presentation to tell me that she's ready to pursue her career in ICT. So thank you all so much. Thank you so much to Melanie for your beautiful rendition. Although you may not have seen them, your audience was swaying and clapping along. I would like to thank our Communications and Media Relations Manager, Mrs. Coretta Cooks-Charles. Though she came on board very recently, she has joined the team fully. And to celebrate Girls in ICT, she pretty much put this initiative together. Now, while we could not have had it on the actual day, which was last Thursday, the 22nd, it is important to us at ECTEL that we focus not only on empowering our consumers in the telecommunications industry, but also that we do our part to highlight opportunities within science and technology in general, and to support our young people of our region, and especially our young girls in this instance. So thank you so much. And finally, I would like to especially thank our participants, especially the principals, teachers, and the students on Zoom and Facebook Live. The challenges we have faced over the past year and continue to face have forced us to adapt the way we learn, the way we work and live. They've pushed us to embrace the use of technology and have also highlighted the need for more persons, especially girls, to take on study and work in the field. We hope that this morning's session inspired you to consider careers in the field, and for the younger ones to begin to see opportunities around you, as it is never too early to start. So once again, thank you all so very much.
All right, thank you so much, Janelle. And again, thanks to all the presenters. You've been amazing, and I look forward to collaborating more with you. This is just the beginning, and I hope you don't get tired of me, because I'll be calling on you again in the future. And thanks to all the teachers from across the Caribbean and outside of the Caribbean who ensure that their students participated in this. And I really hope you participate in the competition to share what it is that you learned. And the instructions will be placed on our social media platform, but our social media info is in the chat, ECTEL Authority on Instagram, or just ECTEL on Facebook. And it's a wrap for now. Thank you again. Thanks, Mr. Millett, and all the speakers, principals, teachers, especially you students, for making this a lively conversation about girls in ICT. Thank you, everyone, and do keep safe. Oh, and I wanted to take a photo. Oh my goodness. If you're still there, can you put on your video so I could take a photo? My apologies. I know we lost a lot of people, but we'd really love to get a photo. If you could just put on your cameras and smile beautifully. My colleague Goanna is going to just go through the different pages and take a lovely photo so I could put this on social media. Thank you so very much. Look at all those beautiful faces. And I'm seeing some familiar ones as well. Ah, look at that class, awesome. And I'm happy the boys were able to join us too. Yes. So we're gonna tell you when we're finished, just smile. Even though you have your mask, you can see the smile in your eyes. Tell me when you're finished, right? Oh, nice, lovely, lovely. You're welcome, Dominica Grammar School. Thanks so much for being here with us. Yes, COVID, has made it difficult for us to meet together, but this opportunity to meet virtually is amazing, simply amazing. All right, so all the photos are done, and I'm gonna share this on social media. Lovely. All right, everybody, thanks again and keep safe. Bye.
Bye.
All right.